Jocelyne Koblenou is now an expert of every aspect of maize flour processing. Flour processing is the main activity of this mother who lives in Porto Novo, Benin. Jocelyne's first contact with the processing of maize flour, known as gambarin lifin in Benin, dates back to her school years. When Jocelyne became a struggling student, she resorted to gambarin lifin production with the support of her grandmother.
At the beginning, as my studies were not successful, I decided to resort to maize processing. My grandmother had already been practicing that activity. I have been working with my grandmother for at least 7 years now. With respect to procurement, actually we buy from a woman from Ketu. Not all varieties of maize are suitable for gambarin lifin. Only white maize can be used to produce flour.
From her farms of Ketu or Parakou, where she gets her raw material, up to the stage of marketing the product, Jocelyne has a perfect command of the value chain. Talking about maize flour processing, she always specifies that all kinds of maize can be processed into gambarin lifin, provided they be white. As for processing itself, she says that actually it all begins with husking.
On prend le maïs, on met ça dans un panier.
First, when the maize reaches the mill, we put it in a basket and sprinkle it with water. Then the huller removes all the bran till it becomes white. During the hulling phase, the bran is separated from the grain. After that, we must ensure that the bran is removed. Then we soak the maize in water overnight. Afterwards, we remove the maize and put it in a basket by draining the fermented water. Then we put it back in a second water. Finally, it is sieved, put in a basket and carried to the mill. After this step, we dry the flour.
In Benin, gambarin lifin is used in the preparation of typical foods and during ceremonies. Served as a noble meal, gambarin lifin flour is now widely used across culinary areas such as bakery, pastry, but it is also used for animal feed.
La farine de maïs de bonne qualité, c'est la farine qui est...
Good quality maize flour can be used for bakery. Not all flours have properties of increasing in volume when added some products. Actually, when you add yeast to wheat flour, it increases in volume. Therefore, the flour has certain elasticity, certain plasticity, and a certain texture, making it possible to mold it in order to get the desired product. Not all maize flours have this property. So good quality maize flour is the flour that has this property, which can be added to other kinds that can replace 15 to 10% of wheat flour for exactly the same quantity of bread as usual.
Exactement la même consistance de pain qu'on a l'habitude de manger.
For 3 years now, the use of maize flour has expanded to pastry and bakery sectors. This technology opens up economic opportunities for maize growers, but also for business people located in Porto Novo and other towns of Benin. For the consumers, it is with satisfaction that they have discovered these composite products.
La farine de maïs peut être utilisée aussi en boulangerie et en pâtisserie.
This maize flour can be used in baking and pastry. That's why we started testing possible uses of this flour in baking. We gathered a number of bakers and started introducing this sprouted and husked maize flour in baking. The first tests produced good bread that is 100% similar to wheat flour bread from its texture and appearance. So, at the bakery, 15% of maize flour can already be mixed to wheat flour to make good bread. In pastry cooking, tests have shown that up to 50% maize flour can be added to wheat. This means that 50% maize and 50% wheat have been used to make good cakes that are highly appreciated by the first consumers who tested them.
Actuellement apprécié par les premiers consommateurs qui ont testé ça.
La farine de maïs, lorsqu'on l'incorpore en pâtisserie,
when introduced in baking, we have realized that maize flour has brought a significant reduction of the quantity of sugar content. And that is very interesting from a nutritional standpoint. As a nutritionist, I often recommend consumers to reduce sugar intake, especially white sugar. So this technology is good because it helps to reduce sugar content during the preparation.
Au cours de la préparation, la teneur en sucre, c'est bien.
In terms of distribution, Gambarin leafine flour processors have no major difficulties to sell their production. Flour demand is constantly high in the market. On the supply side, the purchasing power of each consumer is taken into account. From wholesalers to retailers, everyone can afford Gambarin leafine flour.
We have a customer base. When there is a ceremony, our customers come to buy the flour. When we finish preparing the flour, people come to buy from our house. Those using it to cook family meals also come to buy. It's a good business because we are making huge profits. This 25-kilo bag costs 12,000 CFA francs. The half bag costs 6,000 CFA, a quarter bag costs 3,000, and the kilo bag costs 400 CFA francs.
A study conducted by the PAPA, the Agricultural Policy Analysis Program of the Beninese National Institute of Agricultural Research, reveals that maize flour processors make profits regardless of the price of raw material. Even more, the study suggests that the price of the product must be regulated to allow all the stakeholders of the value chain to reap benefits from this activity.
Nous sommes allés maintenant à comparer la rentabilité de ceux qui incorporent Gambarin leafine dans la pâtisserie et la boulangerie à ceux qui ne le font pas.
We started comparing the profitability of those incorporating maize in pastry and bakery to those who don't, meaning comparing those using 100% wheat flour to those using composite flour. The composite flour is made of 15% of maize and 85% of wheat flour. In working out the profitability, we realized that those using composite flour in baking earn additional 0.15 francs from 1 franc invested compared to those who use 100% wheat. At a higher scale, we also found that the higher the investment, the greater the return. We therefore proposed that for all stakeholders to profit, a price regulation system should be put in place.
Pour que tous les acteurs trouvent de bénéfices dans l'utilisation de ce produit, il faut qu'on régularise le prix.
The women involved in Gambarin leafine processing now have a solar dryer that significantly facilitates their work and enhances the quality of the product. Developed within the framework of the West Africa Agricultural Productivity Program, this solar dryer yields better quality flour with respect to hygiene.
Compte tenu du fait que c'est un produit de grande consommation, le programme technologique agricole et alimentaire s'est intéressé à ce produit.
Given that it's a consumer product, the Agriculture and Food Technology Program manifested some interest in this product in order to identify in the value chain the actions that can be undertaken to improve the quality of the product and to reduce the difficulty in processing it. Today, several techniques have been developed, including the solar dryer, which is a flagship technology.
L'une des technologies phares, c'est le séchoir solaire.
L'avantage de ce séchoir, c'est que c'est le produit, sur le plan hygiénique, le produit est sain.
The benefit of this dryer is that the product is wholesome. It cannot be contaminated when displayed. It's protected from dirt, insects, dust, unlike traditional drying under direct sunlight. You've seen that the product used to be spread on a mat on the floor so that goats and dust would contaminate it. But here, everything is closed, and the polyethylene helps save 10 degrees. It's also affordable to all.
Tout ça, ça fait partie d'un gain de temps.
The improvement of the quality of Gambarin leafine and its use in baking and pastry open new avenues for job creation. In this respect, WAP Benin has planned to popularize these technologies in order to encourage young people to embrace this income-generating activity.
Dans la revue du PPAO, c'est de montrer que il a des
The WAP review has already identified some key actions which can already be disseminated. So, in the near future, the solar dryer must be made available to women in the processing segment. But then, I would encourage their being organized into groupings so that everybody can access this technology.
Les travaux continuent.
Efforts are already underway to inform and educate many people about the uses of this flour. It will not only reduce the amount of imported wheat, but it will also create many jobs, ranging from maize farmers to those processing it, including millers, and this will generate substantial profits for all the stakeholders in the maize value chain.
Relevons le défi.
Let's take up the challenge of popularizing the technology, selling it to as many users as possible, and promoting it among the people and trigger demand for it. Once demand is expressed, I'm confident that the rest will follow easily. As for the young people in general, as soon as demand is expressed and the technology is known, I would encourage them to support it. The technologies are offering a bright future because there will be a profitable business out of which one can make a living.
Et vivre décemment de ça.
IDB, the Islamic Development Bank, has provided assistance to Benin through its support to the West Africa Agricultural Productivity Program of the Western Central African Council for Agricultural Research and Development. Thanks to this financial support, and similar to the national centers of specialization of the 9 West African countries, the Beninese ENCOS has embarked on promoting the use of these technologies to promote youth employment. This is the main goal of this regional program.